Welcome to the For the Love of the Game podcast with your hosts, Jefferson Belfort and Brian Hernandez. Brian, how are you doing today?
Man, I am actually doing better than usual because, this is our holiday season podcast. A lot of holidays coming up, and we're recording this on actually Christmas Eve. So, have that holiday joy in us. And I'm super excited. Tomorrow is a big day for basketball, even though, all the health and safety protocol stuff. But I am really pumped. How you doing, Jeff?
Pretty good. Happy to play Santa's Little Helper today with gifting people with this podcast. COVID is playing the Grinch and trying to steal Christmas Day games from us. So I'm not happy about that. But I am happy, like I said, about these gifts that we're about to give today and the conversations that we have. So the topics that we have round up for today are Ja Morant and what I would call the Memphis Dilemma, the naughty or nice all-star picks, and some early NBA awards and our weekly roundup. You ready, Ryan?
Let's do it.
All right, perfect. All right, so to lead off the show today, we will start off with the Ja Morant situation. Memphis currently, I believe, are sitting at 19 and 14. Currently ranked fourth in the West right now, behind the Jazz and the two quintessential powerhouses in the West, the Warriors and the Suns. And from the surface level, this looks really good for Memphis. They look in a really good position, just coming off of a 10-2 start, 10-2 period where before Ja Morant came back. But now they currently are in a 3-game losing streak. And it has brought to attention that Ja Morant currently is feeling, honestly, I wouldn't say unwanted, but more along the lines of a little upset about how the fans feel about him. And honestly, he feels embarrassed by the whole situation of him coming back and the team just not playing the same level that they were. Early in the season, there was a lot of chatter of him being an MVP caliber player, and he embraced it, and he looked every bit the part of being someone that was going to be that type of player. So, and they got to around 9 and 10, I believe. It was a little disappointing to see that they were starting the season in that manner. But then for him to go down with his knee sprain and then the team to go 10 and 2, granted, the level of performance, level of talent that they were playing at that time, it wasn't the best, but they still went 10 and 2. And in the midst of that 10 and 2 start, they played the Thunder and beat them by an NBA record of 73 points. So fair to say that they really picked up the slack when he was gone. So when he came back and unfortunately they lost to the Thunder, Ja Morant was forced to speak about that. And he spoke about saying that we beat the same team by 73, then we lose the day I come back against this team. It's frustrating. I was already in my head coming back out and trusting my knee after missing 12 games. Basketball is my escape. I feel at my best when I play, so it's really frustrating. What do you think about that, Brian?
Man, it's pretty crazy because, well, one, when you think about it, Ja Morant is pretty much is a player that any team would love to have. But when someone is that high usage for their team, it can lead to some stagnation in the offense and stuff like this. So it's kind of understandable. And I was actually seeing like this kind of situation is also happening in uh, Washington. And when Washington with Bradley Beal is taking all the shots. And even they had recently Montrezl Harrell. He was talking about like he openly said like, you guys need to pass the ball to the rest of the team. We need to feel like we're actually playing in the game. And last night I saw them without Bradley Beal when they played against the Knicks, and their ball movement was impeccable, and everyone was sharing the ball, and it was really nice basketball to watch. And I can see the same thing happening with the reason why Memphis was playing so well is because the team had to come together and really, show up and play team basketball. And they didn't without Ja Morant. I mean, look at the roster. They have good players, but there's no star player there. So they all have to play together. And so, it kind of makes sense why it's a transition period when someone like Ja Morant comes back. And it makes sense why fans would be upset when they're playing so well. As a fan, I wonder like how serious they actually feel of Ja Morant's their best player. It hands down. I mean, like you say, like before this injury, look how well he was playing, and this guy is your future of your franchise. So I think like short term, fans are passionate and they're losing, so they'll be upset. But as of now, I'd say it's nothing to worry about. But I would say for the future, Ja Morant potentially, maybe he wants a bigger stage. Maybe he wants something else. Memphis never has been a huge destination for players to want to go. And maybe Ja Morant, this is kind of like sprinkling in like that thought of potentially somewhere else might be better than here. What do you think about the whole situation?
Yeah, and I felt what I was explaining earlier was just the tip of the iceberg of what was really going on here,
Okay.
right? So much like you're saying, I think it really is getting to that point where Ja Morant will at some point will be questioned if whether his heart is committed to here or wanting to stay here. And I'm going to pull the direct quote from that press conference as well, where he gets into speaking about those fans. Like he was mentioning, is Morant admitted that he was a little hurt by the comments that he was hearing in that game. And even during the game, he mentions, I was running down the court and I'd hear some of my fans courtside telling me I need to sit back down. And so I just don't understand what they wanted to get out of that. And I feel like it just makes it worse. And I'm just frustrated. Normally, you'll have seen it when anybody says something negative about me, it fuels me. Tonight, the remarks from the fans actually hurt. And I'm going to do what I normally do and bounce back. And I'm very excited for this next game. So that did strike as like, a very genuine commentary that he was giving on what was going on during the game. So it made me go back to do my own research and then deliver like a thought process of what I'm seeing happening here. So I wanted to correlate it with seeing where Grizzlies are even in attendance. Like in attendance, they're ranked as top low fives in attendance. So Morant has best fan presence. He doesn't, and think about this. If you have low attendance like that, I'm sure there's a lot of those things, like he said, that he's hearing or hearing people say. He's hearing it very clearly because there's just no one there. And for the last year, they've been talking about a lot of the issues of getting people to the arena to come see him. I think stuff like that wears on a player, and not being able to have like a fan presence, people that genuinely want you to be there. And ultimately, at the end of it, that player will make decisions around that, and then make decisions around where he currently is as well. We know Memphis is not a tremendous metropolitan. It is a city, but it's not a bustling city as a lot of other big cities in America.
That's it's crazy. Like, so for all the listeners too, I actually wanted to come into the story completely blind because I mean it's more fun that way, and it's crazy to hear you say of like these fans are literally shouting at their star player to sit back down after coming back from an injury. Like that's absurd. That's absurd, and I mean it makes sense why he would be hurt because of like I mean think like I was saying the whole that situation's so absurd. This guy's trying to get his confidence back, and you know they're not playing as well, and you just come out there screaming at your best player, and that's I feel for him. That is pretty rough. I'm sure the majority of the fans. I would hope the majority of the fans don't feel exactly like that. But like you said, these things do make players question of do they want to stay long term or not, and um, this is a storyline to keep an eye on in the future. I mean, any team would love to have Ja Morant and just how good he is, and I mean, although you know he does have some injuries problems in the past, this guy's still one of the greatest young, you know, top 10 under 25 players right now. And that's crazy. That is very crazy.
Last nugget in that whole story as well too is that right after the press conference, he did announce he was going to take a break from social media. That tweet has since been deleted, and he replaced it with a message that says "Appreciate the real ones." So it really did mean something to him, and it really did mean that you know, from the upbringings that Ja Morant came from. Granted, I know there's always memes about this, about people always talking about how hard it was for Ja Morant, and then it was pick number 2, and then
Yeah.
right, but no, you do understand that Ja Morant really had to get out the mud compared to his counterpart at that time, Zion Williamson, who
Yeah.
ironically he played on the same AAU team. Grew up in the same state. They knew each other for some time, right? And they knew of each other's game for some time. So for Zion to get critically acclaimed in his time in Gettysburg, I believe, or something like that, in South Carolina, I guess that's what it is. But Gatlinburg or something like that. But becoming the Zion that everyone was raving about in his high school years, to then going to Duke, to now being in the league. The guys always had the camera on him, and knowing that guys like Ja Morant was on the same team as him, and they just were not getting that same appreciation. I believe his only scholarship opportunity was Murray State. So he took that opportunity and he ran with it, and he found his way to the second spot in the NBA draft, and what he's doing right now, currently, not talking about futures wise, but currently he is better than what Zion is at this point because he's on the court. He's on the court more. So, that every one of those type of things means so much to him because of those type of upbringings and those type of situations he had to go through when he was younger.
Yeah, like he's I mean, like he in that quote that you mentioned, like he literally talked about like, oh, all the hate that he's got before, like that usually fuels him, and like exactly what you're saying, he's been playing on the level as all these other players, but he's never really got the respect of, like you're saying, the pedigree of Zion, the pedigree of RJ Barrett, and like as you said, right now, Ja Morant is at the moment above all these guys, and I mean Zion's a generational talent, but there's issues outside of that, like his weight and all that. But no, Ja Morant is he's proven. It's crazy that, he went to Murray State and yet he was still the second pick in the NBA draft. I'm sure if you look at mock drafts before the season starts, he was probably nowhere near that. And, he's really proven it. He's proven himself in the NBA. Everyone knows that he's a fantastic talent. And I would hope Memphis fans learn from this and, give this guy some more love because, you heard him right now. But yeah, if you don't treat your stars right, the stars are going to leave. And
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens. This is actually definitely a story that I'm excited to keep an eye on because as I like Ja Morant a lot. He's actually probably one of my favorite players. And it's sad that Memphis is a good team, but I would like to see him in a bigger stage. Not necessarily New York or whatever, but I like to see him in a just on a bigger name team. So
All right,
next, you want to go to
move.
Yeah, so we can go to our naughty or nice for the all-star picks. And before we even go into that, I did a little exercise of looking at last year's all-star team. And, there's a lot of snubs from that team and all that. And specifically, I wanted to go over, who made that all-star team that does not deserve to be on the team this year. Specifically, guys like, one, maybe they're just not playing up to par like they used to. Two, they're injured, so they've been missing this entire season. And then the last one is, which probably would not have expected coming into this year, are like players that are not just playing at all and are healthy, but because of vaccination reasons, because of team issues, aka Ben Simmons, they're not playing at all. So, few of these names. One, Kyrie Irving, we all know his reason. He's actually coming back now. So excited to see Kyrie Irving back in basketball, but I don't think he can make the All-Star team because he just hasn't played. He's All-Star level 100%, but he just hasn't played. And I think the only person that can make that list without playing is Kobe. So Julius Randle, not playing up to par. Julius Randle's having a terrible, efficient year. He's still putting up numbers, but he's just not efficient at all. Terrible. I hate him right now. Clear next person, Ben Simmons. Like I mentioned, has not played. He is all-star level, but just does not deserve to be here because he's not played. And also, the last thing people remember of him is how terrible he did in the playoffs. Next, Kawhi. Kawhi, sadly, injured this entire season. Should not be here. Zion, also injured this whole entire season. He made it last season. We talked just now, generational talent, but not on the court. Don't deserve to be here. Next, this guy just not playing as he's still, a good player, but not like he was last year of Mike Conley. I think there's other players. Mike Conley, good player and all, but I think as of now, there's other players that deserve to be on this list other than him this year. And I actually want to get your take on this one. Maybe this person's actually on your naughty or nice, but I was gonna take off for not playing as well as he did last year, but he's still been putting up numbers. I was gonna say Sabonis. I had him as a maybe in there, but all those other ones were clear. I had Sabonis as a maybe. But we can go to your naughty or nice if you wanna. If you had him on there, I don't know.
I will tell you, he has made the naughty list already.
Got it.
So he's not even on the list that I'm bringing up right now. So
got it.
Yeah, I do still love his game. Just with the whole trade rumors, the whole team just being so inconsistent. I really don't like when a player is chosen from a team that's inconsistent or not playing well.
I agree.
I remember when that used to be a big problem in the league. With if something like that would happen, what would you do? And then it was, I believe, 2009, 2010 when Dwayne Wade was going ballistic, and just the Heat were just so terrible.
Yeah.
So, but they needed to have him in the All-Star game, so they did it. But you knew it started in unprecedented, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not a fan of that, of doing teams that aren't playing well, they get a player. So
Yeah.
that's why I would say Sabonis is somebody that I pulled from the list.
Got it. All right. Well, I'm ready for your naughty or nice.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is naughty, obviously being players that I will present a name, give it to Brian. He tells me if he believes that that person's on the naughty or nice list regarding all-star picks, and then we'll get right into it and reasons why we feel that this person should be on the naughty list or should be on the nice list, and from there just divulge into what they've been doing this season and where and then to the next person from
Perfect.
that point.
Let's
All right,
go.
so like I said, I'm going to start with some of the quintessential guys that I know we're all probably going to give nice to. So first, we got to start it off with year 19, LeBron James. Brian, is he on your naughty or nice list?
The easy nice. Like you mentioned, LeBron is just he's next level. Surprisingly, Father Time still isn't 100% here. You know, LeBron was always known to be like just a force that never got injured. He was always healthy, played every single game, and as the years are coming, a little more injuries here and there, but still the man is a beast. So has to be a nice.
Exactly. I have him on my nice list as well. He has been, as I just said about Dwayne Wade playing ballistic, LeBron James has honestly been going off this year. And it is a testament to his game, the fact that he's still able to play at this level like I said, in his 19th season of being in the league. I don't know if you saw the tweet about LeBron having his half-life, where half of his life has been in the league and half of his life has been outside of the league. And it just, like I said, it really is very crazy to see that's type of career that this guy has been able to have and been able to just remain consistent through it all. And for that, he gets the nod and he gets to be on the nice list. So that's that first one. I think I got around like 6 or 7 guys that I would say is on my quintessential list. So the next person would be Kevin Rantula. Is he on here? Is he on your naughty or nice list?
Oh man, that's even easier nice than LeBron. Right now, Kevin Durant is insane. He doesn't miss. Came back even stronger than before. We don't need to go too far into it right now, but that's an easy nice for me.
Exactly. He is an easy nice for me too. A unanimous nice. He's not he's not usually thought of as a nice guy, but
Yeah.
but luckily this is based off of your play on the court. So he is one of the, like I would say, quintessential guys that you got to put on this list. He's having one of his most efficient seasons. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends the season on a 50-40-90 again. And I'm loving what he's bringing to the team. The team truly can't be the team that it is without him on the court, and is giving him a real reason to be up in that conversation for MVP because of that.
For sure.
So the next person that we're going to get into is Giannis Antetokounmpo. What do you think? Is he nice or naughty?
He's easy nice. Yeah, and Giannis is next level. I think by the end of his career, I would say he would probably be in the GOAT conversation, but we'll see. It's still a lot of time there, but easy nice.
Okay, perfect. I believe that he's nice as well. Going through a lot of nices,
Yeah.
but trust me, guys. This list is going to get a little bit more difficult as
Yeah.
we go down. But yeah, Giannis is if we think about the three-headed monsters of like the league and who are the patriarchy of the league at this point now, Giannis is usually in contention for that. It's the next person that I'm going to say is also always in contention with that, with LeBron and Kevin Durant as well too. So there's no way you can't have them at the All-Star game.
Oh yeah.
Our next person that we're gonna get into is Ordell Stephen Curry. Is he on your naughty or nice list?
He's having one of his best seasons right now. Easy nice.
Exactly. Same here. MVP caliber season. He is going. If I said ballistic for LeBron, he is going. I don't know what's beyond ballistic, but he's going whatever is higher than that, because he's just going off. He just had a 46-point game last night against the Grizzlies, so yeah, there's no stopping this guy and how he's playing right now. The only thing that could stop him is himself. He's now the 3-point champion. He's the king of threes. So he has to make it to the All-Star game.
Oh, yeah.
Next person is old man in the room besides LeBron. I would call him the Captain America of this team, of the Suns, is Chris Paul. Is he nice or naughty?
So in this one, so all the other ones, it's like an easy, you don't even have to think twice. When Chris Paul comes up, I'm like, let me think about it. But it's a nice. It's Chris Paul. This man, he's a beast. He's leading that team. He makes everyone else better. Chris Paul, 100% nice.
Exactly. I would say that like you said, he's the type of player that right now in his career, because he's a little older, you do second guess a little bit, but that this guy deserves to be in that conversation. So that leads me to the next person. And if he is Captain America for the Suns, this guy's Iron Man for the Suns. Devin Booker. Is he on your nice or naughty list?
So that's actually really funny. I love that. Captain America and then Iron Man. Like 100%. D-Book is a nice. This man is a sniper from mid-range, 3-point, everything. He is so impressive. And that's a nice for me.
Exactly. I think he's shown with working with Chris Paul that it unlocked a part of his game that I don't think we would be able to have seen if he didn't come there. The attention to details that he has now is insane compared to where he was early in his career. The attention to defense as well is another part of his game that he wasn't big upon. He wasn't big on in the early parts of his career, but now you're happy to see him take importance in that and lead on that side of the ball as well. And then just the dude is efficient and he's a clutch shooter. So that's someone that I know we're going to be having conversations about him being an all-star for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So I have two more names that may be in the quintessential list. Let's see what you think.
Okay.
That next person is the man of the city of lakes. The lake of he is the man of the city of the salt of lakes. This is Donovan Mitchell. What do you think?
So Donovan Mitchell, straight up nice. This man is it's crazy of like how much a little love Utah gets. And I thought even before coming onto this, like I was out as I was doing my research, I'm like, Utah, what is Utah doing right now? Meanwhile, they're killing it in the West, and they're such a good team. This man is their leader. He is having a phenomenal season. That's an easy yes.
There we go. And to round up the quintessential list, man, king of the fourth is what they call him now. They call him the mid-range god. He left the six. He went to San Antonio, but now he's in the windy city. DeMar DeRozan.
So
Yeah,
this is one of the guys that I was like looking at like last year what he did, and it's like, all right, last year definitely not an all-star, but he's having a phenomenal season right now for Chicago. And he was one of the guys that like it. So when you look at last year's list of like new guys, he is 100% in there. DeMar DeRozan is a nice from me.
perfect. All right. So now since we're done with our quintessential list, now it's time to go to, either these guys are usually in the conversation for all stars.
Yeah.
Sometimes, they will be on the snubs list. Maybe they're on the team, or these are players that took a little bit of a stumble this year. And keeping that in mind, you're thinking, maybe they shouldn't be on this list. Maybe they should. And then a little bit of this is standings, where their team is as well, but they still are a pretty good player. So let's start off this list with our man. They call him around these parts Mr. Anthony Day-to-Day Davis. Do you think he is on the naughty or nice list today?
The Day-to-Day Davis. Oh man, that's hilarious. I'd say that's a nice for me. I mean, because just trying to think of like if he's a naughty, like who else would take his spot? And it's just I run through the names quickly in my head, and it's like honestly, I think he has to be there. This man so good, like you're saying, he is day to day all the time, and the injuries are a big issue. But I think he still played enough this year that he deserves to be on this list.
Yeah, I think he deserves to be on the list, right? So I'm going to say he's nice for that. But I think he's naughty for being a starter. I don't think he should be the starter.
Yeah.
I think there's other guys on this list that I would move up to be the starter. I just don't think he earned it this year. He's earning it this year. He's not. He's shown at times in the past why he's one of the best big men, or if the best big man in the league. And he just hasn't been able to show that because he's either not able to be on the court, or the way how this Lakers team is constructed is just not speaking to his benefits that he brings to the court. So, and the reluctantness to change some parts of his game is another reason why I get a little bit iffy about Anthony Davis and where he fits in to not just the All-Star game, but as a future superstar and leading that next generation of like superstars, So definitely a nice, but not nice to being on the starters.
So has there been a name so far that we've gone through that you would put over Anthony Davis as a starter at that power forward position that he plays?
And I'm thinking in the West stands. Right? We haven't said the name yet, but I do think that there's someone I would take over. and give him
Okay.
that role.
I think I'm on the same wavelength as you. So, all right, let's keep going. Let's
We
keep
got
going.
it.
Yeah,
We're right
exactly.
there. We're right there with this.
Yeah.
So actually, you know what? I might have to, but
Okay.
but definitely this next person that we're going to talk about, he is one of the founding fathers of a dynasty that has made many grown men cry over the last 10 years. He has been a very great sidekick to this I would say duo, this duo called the Splash Brothers. If Steph Curry's Batman, my man Draymond Green is Alfred. Is he on the nice or naughty list?
Ooh, so this one, I'm thinking, I think I'm gonna have to put him as my first guy that's on the naughty list. I
Oh
wouldn't.
wow.
I don't think I would put him. I think as of now, there's a few. I mean, Draymond, fantastic, but I think there's a few guys that I just thinking of. Like, I rather have on the team, even if you push some small forward to a power forward for that game. I think I'd rather have that than having Draymond here. I think he's my first naughty.
Okay, perfect. So if I don't get to that person's name, make sure you keep that in mind so we
Got
could
it.
talk about them, and I'll see if I'll add them on my nice list too. You know,
Okay.
our next person, is the best way to describe this guy. You know, is largely known and infamous for his beard. He has now his time become very comfortable with living on the East Coast, living it up in New York, you know, having a good time with his buddy, one of our nice list candidates, Kevin Durant. And, you know, he's having a little bit of these struggles, but nothing can stop the beard. So is the beard James Harden on your nice or naughty list?
I think for me, it's an easy nice, and the reason why is because, like you said, beginning of the year, he was struggled a bit. You know, even still, only until like recently, and he started to pick it up. But I think there's a difference between James Harden's struggle versus like a normal person's struggle, because James Harden not playing up to par is still pretty phenomenal in normal players' terms. And yeah, sure, maybe it's not super efficient, but he still was like triple double, almost triple double every single night, and he's still playing extremely well. I think for me, that's still an easy yes. The beard is too fierce.
Oh, I agree. I strongly agree. The beard, like you said, you know, he has had, like you said, his struggles during the year. And when you look at the stats, it's just they have exacerbated this conversation about
Yeah,
how he's regressed, right? So you would think that James Harden is averaging like 10 points, three
yeah,
rebounds, and 2 assists, but he's still up to par in his assists. He's still top 5 in assists. He's still making. He still has a high rate of rebounds and around the 20 points range. Yes, it's a regression from what he was a few years ago, but I think that this is the player that he wanted to become for the Nets.
yeah.
He didn't want it to rely on being that shooter again. And obviously, we got to the elephant in the room is obviously the Kyrie situation changed that a little bit from what he wanted to be able to do, and then also you got to speak about the injuries that he's been dealing with. The injury he has been dealing with is the hamstring, and this has been his most significant injury to date.
Yeah.
Since he's been in the league, he's usually thought of as an Iron Man in the league. So to see him dealing with an injury is definitely a first, and it's showing in how he's rehabbing it and how he's able to still be on the court while he's trying to get it back to normal.
Yeah, no, 100%. A big yes.
So our next guy that I will speak about, he is also from the Windy City. I don't have a lot of adjectives to give to this guy. besides knockdown shooter, clutch shooter, my man, Zach LaVine. Is he nice or naughty?
Man, it's pretty crazy. And honestly, at one point, I was pretty. Even now thinking back on it, I'm kind of embarrassed in being like, well, I was looking at last year. I'm like, all right, Julius Randle. I think I'd rather have Julius Randle over Zach LaVine. Like, Zach LaVine's good and all, but his team, he's not helping his team win and all this stuff. And he's not the most efficient player, even though, he's putting up amazing numbers and all that. And now that I think back on that, I'm a big idiot and I should never disrespect Zach LaVine like that ever again. And he's a big nice for me.
Oh man. So with that in mind too, he is on my nice list as well. Some people have him as a starter. That's where again, I'm going to say he is on my naughty list for that. I don't think he's a starter. I do like the adding him to the All-Star game though. He has proven that, like I said, he's a knockdown shooter. He's clutch. He can bring a level of intensity that is replicated by his running mate in DeMar DeRozan that is almost unmatched. And then the defensive prowess that he's gaining now is becoming something to, behold. I'm not saying that he's obviously still not one of the best defenders in the league, but seeing how under Billy Donovan they are taking an importance to that is something that I'm loving to see out of the Bulls team. And, that's why he's on this list.
Real quick before you move on to the next person, I want to actually ask you. So for all the players that we have so far, do we have your starters for the East?
Let me see.
Because I also agree that I wouldn't put Zach LaVine as a starter, but he definitely deserves to be on the team.
I think we have about
maybe missing one.
Yeah, it's missing one.
All right.
It's missing one person. But yeah, we have most of the people that I think would be in my starting.
I agree.
Line. So, as we move down the list, we look at the block king, the guardman of the lakes, the city of lakes of salt. And his name is Rudy Gobert. Is he on your nice Frenchman? Yep. Is he on your nice or naughty list, Brian?
So my thing with Rudy is, well, one, I think he is one of the most impactful players in basketball. Of course, defensive wise, and he's one of the top centers. The question is, or always the concern about Rudy is, during the playoffs, what can he do in all this? And of course, all-star level doesn't take into account all that. So I'm trying to think, and mostly my exercise is like, do I have three other center power forward kind of guys? Do I have three other bigs? Or do I have four other bigs that I'd rather have over Rudy? And as I'm looking at it, I would say I probably have I've had Rudy on the list. So I think I have to give it to Rudy Gobert. He's a defensive monster. He's one of the biggest assets you can have on your team. Now he needs to prove it later more for the playoffs, but regular season, this man is a complete beast. There's a reason why Utah is so good right now, and he is one of the biggest parts of that. He gets a lot of disrespect, in my opinion, but I think I would still put him on my nice list.
I'm gonna put him on my nice list as well. I once again, he does not fall into my nice list for starters.
Yeah.
But what he brings to the court, there was a stat last year that went over the defensive rating of when Rudy Gobert is on the court and he's off the court. Yeah. And it essentially showed that the Jazz, when he's on the court, are a top 5 defensive team. And when he is off the court, they are a top 5, a bottom 5 defensive team. So it just goes to show his impact is shown through how he plays, how he, makes offensive players second guess what they're going to do near the rim. Even, I like how he could be a little versatile. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's going to stay with guys like Kyrie Irving crossing him up or something.
Yeah.
But he can switch up on people and give some pretty good defense to smaller guys, and he's very agile, and the verticality of this guy is the reason why he's the block king in my mind. And is really feared with how he, if you're going to go to the rim, that Rudy Gobert might be there to block it,
100%. Now, before we also move on, I think we should talk about how many more slots we have on our nice list, because we're going to have to make some real tough decisions. How many people, or do you know right now how many slots we have left?
So for the starters,
yes,
is for me, I have on my nice list is James Harden, Kevin Durant, Giannis, and DeMar DeRozan. Steph Curry on the West, Draymond, LBJ, and Chris Paul. Okay. So I am left with one more nice on the starting side of things to hand out.
Yes.
And how's your list looking?
So on the East, I am also on your side there. And then on the West, I would have so far LeBron, Steph. I don't have Rudy as my starter. And trying to even think. I don't know if I have. I said yes to Donovan Mitchell. I said put Donovan Mitchell. So I have 2 slots for the West as starters and 2 slots on the East, or 1 slot on the East as a starter.
Okay. All right. So that leads us into our next person, the opposite side of the LA teams. Missing his Batman. Robin ain't just no Robin. This man, he's from LA. He loves LA. He don't want to leave LA. Paul George. Ooh. Is he on your nice or naughty list?
So, yes, Paul George makes it on my list. And the reason why I actually did not put Draymond on my list is because I thought I'd rather have Paul George. I'd rather slide Paul George to that power forward spot and play Draymond's position. And Paul George, It's kind of funny. So last year, there's the playoff P stuff, and everyone's making fun of him, and he was really bad. And then playoff P is back last year, and without Kawhi, he's actually playing even better than he did before. And it's crazy. We even saw it during those playoffs of like when Kawhi went down, Paul George stepped up. And this season, Paul George has had some injuries and here and there, but overall he's been playing pretty fantastic. And I have to give him a big fat nice.
All right. So for me and Paul George, I'm gonna put him on the nice as well. But I'm not gonna give him that starter slot. I want to give it to a bigger man.
Yeah.
but no, I do like the selection of having him on the team again. Been a perennial all-star already throughout his career. Paul George, what I love about him the most is that he's shown different circumstances do not change who he's going to be and how he's going to play. He quietly brought the Clippers to the Western Conference last year amid all of the scrutiny that they were getting. And mind you, these guys got way more scrutiny than the Lakers, who, imploded in the first round. But the Clippers was just getting it left and right all season long, all the way into the playoffs, even during the playoffs. And, Paul George was putting up a fight with that team in the playoffs. He's looking pretty, like you said, pretty good on his own. A lot of the time, I do think that it gets very complicated when you're integrating superstars.
Yeah.
That's why it could be a little bit harder to, if you're not that close of players, to see it work out when pressure starts to build in certain situations. But when you have that bona fide superstar, and it's just them, a lot of the players know to delegate to him. He knows how to delegate to them, and they know how, to say, hey, we're at this level, and Paul George is on that level. So we understand that, and we're going to play to our roles, so to speak. I would have him on the nice list as well.
For sure.
Our next person. Oh man. If I think I spoke about Batman earlier on this list, and have Batman without the Joker. Our next guy on this list, the Joker of the Mile High City, Nikola Jokic. Is he on your nice or naughty list?
Ooh. All right. So, man, this is actually pretty tough. Oh no. Well, one, the Joker's a yes for me. So, and yes as a starter. And now I'm thinking about it. As I said before, I put Donovan Mitchell as one of my starters. Now I think about it, I need to make slot for one more guy. Donovan Mitchell, naughty for the starters, but he's still on the team. Donovan Mitchell makes the team. But the West is so stacked with stars. Jokic won MVP last year. He's missing a lot of his really good players. And, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. went down, and, all this health and safety protocol stuff is happening. Man, Joker is still, he's pretty next level. It's so crazy when you watch him play because, he's just not super athletic, but yet he's so smart. He does everything else right. And I can only imagine if he had I don't know, LeBron's athleticism, not LeBron's, but something about some crazy athletic big and put that on Jokic, then we'll probably be talking about the greatest player of all time. But as of now, Jokic is easy yes for me.
Yeah, no. I've been like I was saying, I was saving that slot for someone, and that person is Jokic. He is by far on my nice list, and he's raised all the way to the top. for what he did last year and what he's doing this year. If you look at his stats, they're almost identical to what they were last year. And if they're not identical, they're slightly better. He's regressed a little bit on points, but he is literally killing it on rebounds. Regressed a little bit on assists, but he's still on. He still has guard-like steal stats. He has 11.1 defensive rebounds. So most of these, guys more rebounds on the defensive side than some players even have, that are on this list. So the guy is looking really, really good this year. Yes, he's missing a lot of the key players on his team, but he's trying to do his best with this team as possible. But, everybody knows, like, player of his caliber, but a big of his caliber, they still have problems with impacting the game to the level that we would want out of a wing. Yeah. He finds a way to make himself so impactful. So that's why I got to move him into that starter spot as well.
So is that your entire West right now?
That is my entire West.
Do you want to name them for the listeners? So you remember?
Yeah, so it's Jokic, it's Chris Paul, LeBron James, Draymond, and Stephen Curry.
Okay. As of now, I have Steph Curry, LeBron, Paul George, and Jokic. So I have one more slot that I have. I'm not putting Chris Paul as a starter as of now.
Oh.
There's one guy I have in mind that we'll get to.
So our next guy on the list is the king of South Beach. He's out here. If you're in a fight and you wish you had one of your boys with you, you would wish you had this guy with you because he's on site. He's always ready to fight. He's there for one of his teammates, and he's always going to be there for his teammates. That man is Jimmy Butler. Nice.
So this is actually one of the ones that I was actually on the fence about. Well, one, Jimmy Butler's amazing. But two, if I need to look, do you have the numbers of how many games he's played off the top of your head? I can pull it up.
Not off the top of my head.
So he's played 18 games this season so far. And how many, we're like in 30 something or so at the moment. And so close to half of the games he's missed so far. And he's having a great season of, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's playing fantastic. And there's a reason why Miami's so good. But the reason why I'm actually going to put him on my naughty list. And because of that health thing, it's the reason why he actually misses it most of these years because of health, or over the last few years, because of he's just not healthy enough. And I think I'd rather have some other players, maybe some younger talent on to take his spot. So I'm a naughty on my end.
No, I agree as well too. I did have him on my naughty list because not only just that, he's missing games. I wouldn't say he regressed because he actually has some of his stats that look better this year than it's looked in his career.
Yeah,
but I just don't see, and I felt like last year towards the end of the season, I had the same feeling. Is I don't see the Jimmy Butler that we saw lead the Heat to the bubble.
Yeah.
And since then, it's not that he has regressed in his leadership skills, because I still do think that he's a pretty good leader for their team. But he is just not playing at the same level that he was at. And due to that, like you said, there's a couple other young guys that I would rather give a chance at this because of that.
It's actually pretty surprising when I look at it. His 3-point shooting numbers are so bad. And like I knew Jimmy Butler's not a 3-point shooter, but like I've seen him knock it down occasionally. But like I mean, he's only taking 2 attempts a game. He's at 20% right now. And that's pretty bad. But I mean, he's shooting 50% from the field. So I mean the guy is so efficient from mid range. But that's just something I didn't realize until right now, which is pretty crazy.
Straight clinks. Straight clinks every day. All right, on to the next person on this list. I don't know why I should have. I think I could have put this person in the quintessential list, but there's reasons why I think I highlighted him in this more iffy scenario. But Maestro on the court, he is wheeling and dealing, throwing crazy passes. He's out here being the dimer of the West, of the wild, wild West, and the big D. That man, Luka Doncic.
Yeah. This was my last starter for the West. I thought about it and it's like, do I want Chris Paul? Do I want Luka? I have to put Luka, man. Luka is generational talent. He is so insanely good. Even though this season, there was that report when they talked about, well, first the reason why the Zion weight got brought up during that low podcast was because at first they were talking about Luka, of like Luka comes into the season overweight and he kind of just tries to play in games to get his conditioning back. So generally in the beginning of the season, he always struggles a bit, but like it's kind of the same thing as James Harden, of like Luka struggling is not the same as a normal player struggling. And he is still next level, and he's getting into the flow again, and I need to put Luka on there. He's an easy yes for me. Nice for me.
I agree as well. I already submitted my lineup. I don't want to move it around because then I'm gonna have to start thinking about other players to move it around. But he does deserve to be a starter, so he's definitely on my nice list as well. I think maybe during my construction of this list, when I started thinking about it, I was keeping in account where Dallas is right now and how they look. And, at this same period, because there's a player that Luka is commonly compared to is LeBron James. At this same period in Luka's career is when LeBron James started to figure it out. And from what I see out of this team, it doesn't seem like they're figuring it out. Mm-hmm. And that's why I wasn't too keen on putting him in that same elk of being a starter again. But like you said, he's generational talent. He has to figure out how he makes players on his team better. There's diming and there's the ability to find players that helps the game. But there's something to say about like you become being able to be a real floor general that controls the pace of the game, that change how your players are able to play and speak to their strengths rather than yours, is where I think why I considered putting Chris Paul in the starting lineup and not Luka, because he's still a master at doing that. And Luka is still trying to figure that out.
Luka's one of those guys that I wouldn't be surprised. And we talked about earlier with Ja Morant of like, maybe there's some rumbling here of like this guy's going to be wanting to leave eventually. I think Luka's going to be one of those guys because, Dallas has not done a good job building around him at all. And, they're signing Tim Hardaway Jr. to big contracts and Porzingis. I mean, although the Porzingis is playing better this year, signing him to max contracts and all this stuff. And so far, they're not giving him the help that he needs, and I can see him trying to move somewhere else eventually.
Exactly, I agree. That leads us to the next guy. This man, he recently engaged like my podcast host, a co-host. You know, this man as well is known to be deep three in the ATL. Gets the job done. Name is Trae Young. Is he on your naughty or nice list?
So Trae Young is on my nice list. As much as I hate to say it, Trae Young. I mean, the guy is pretty incredible when he plays, and I think honestly, if I put together a list of players that I don't want to play against, I think Trae Young is pretty high up there. He might be top 5. Like you got like KD, Steph Curry, Giannis, even I don't know. I might even put Trae Young above Giannis just because Trae Young is so hard to handle. He's annoying to watch and as an opponent. But yeah, no, Trae Young, he's so good. He for me, looking at last year's list, he's one of those guys that was definitely snubbed, even though he at the beginning of the year he wasn't having the most efficient year. But Trae Young 100% deserves to be on this year's list. To me.
Yeah, and I think my last slot for the starters in the East is being filled up by this guy, and he's going to fill out my nice list. Is he the way Trae Young has had command over his game has really progressed to a level where I would say I trust his game a lot more now than I did a few years back. I'm wondering if whether it would translate well from him leaving college and coming into the league. The guy was, in some people's mind, a cherry picker.
Okay.
And for him to change that, show that he has that range, he has control of the offense in such a way where he was able to even lead his team into the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Obviously, different circumstances may have spelled it a little bit different, but you still got to give respect where it's due. And the guy did lead his team to that point. So I respect that, and I respect his game, and that's why I chose for him to be in that starter position. But ironically, I will say this too. I still do give the nod to Doncic over Young in that sense of talent.
I agree.
But my respect and like trust in where they're going to go with their game is a little bit more with Shea at this point than it is with Luka because of where he's at.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to me, what concerns me about Luka's like in the future is as I mentioned before, of like him, is he taking the game as seriously as he can? Like if he's coming into preseason overweight, then this guy's not putting as much work as someone like I'm sure Trae Young. We saw him; he's playing in all these games. I forget what they're called. The unregulated games are during the off season. He's just playing in all these different tournaments and all that. Like this guy is a baller and he's a hooper as they say. But so I'm curious. So you said your East list is done for starters. Yes. Let's hear it.
There's no size. If that's what the question is, there's absolutely no size on my East list.
Yeah.
It is Trae Young. It is DeMar DeRozan. It is Giannis. It is KD, and it is James Harden.
Got it. Okay. I have the only one I would not put Trae as my starter. So because I'm waiting for one other guy. But I have KD, DeMar, Giannis, James Harden. Missing one more for me.
All right, perfect. All right, our next guy is, we talked about cherry pickers. My man was uh, allegedly a cherry picker back in his high school days. But, he had to make a trip out east and correct that and wreck that MBL league. When he came back to this league, now being led by MJ, he's showing MJ probably can draft some good talent. That guy is LaMelo Ball.
So
Is he on your
yes.
list?
Yes, LaMelo Ball, I would I would give him the All-Star nod, man. This kid is playing phenomenal this season. I he's a toss-up for me as a starter. I don't know. There's one guy I'm really waiting for, but LaMelo Ball 100% should be an All-Star this year. This man is, if he's not averaging a triple-double, he's like right there. He's changing the way the Charlotte plays. If Charlotte did not have LaMelo Ball, then Charlotte would not be anywhere close to as even exciting as they are right now. It's crazy to think that James Wiseman was picked over LaMelo Ball, and that the Warriors decided to draft fit over talent. So I'm sure they regret that right now, because I can only imagine LaMelo Ball and the Warriors and how crazy that would be with Steph Curry. But yes, he's an easy nice for me.
Exactly. I had a lot of debates with myself on this one, whether or not I would make him the starter,
Yeah,
or make Trae Young the starter, and I took the route with Trae Young. But LaMelo is proving and showing that he wasn't a fluke last year. It wasn't a fluke that they were in consideration for the playoffs as well.
yeah,
But that if they stay along with him and they allow for him to take that maturation process he has to take, only the sky is the limit with this team. And there's other players on that team that are really benefiting from having a guy like LaMelo Ball on their team. I would say, we always, when Lonzo came out, said that Lonzo is like Jason Kidd, and he's the guy that plays like that. And then it's funny because it's actually LaMelo that plays more like a Jason Kidd. Obviously, a lot more athletic and bigger than Jason Kidd, but the way how he makes everyone around him better, and the intangible things that goes beyond just how he passes the ball or how spectacular he makes the pass look. It's just finding ways to put them in the best scenario or situation to take a shot or make the extra pass. It's just something that LaMelo is really good at, and I appreciate about his game, and why I do have him on my nice list this year.
yeah. We had this conversation before that, like, I think there's a reason why we both decided we rather have LaMelo Ball over Ja Morant, which is, it's so hard to pick between the two, but like, man, LaMelo's special. LaMelo's special.
Well, that was very ironic that you brought him up, because that is next on my list. I can't
That's
even
hilarious.
give him a whole description now. Ja Morant, is he on your naughty or nice list?
Well, I think, we talked about him this entire time, so I don't think it's too bad to not give him the biggest intro like all these other ones. Although I do love your intros. They're fantastic right now. I think so. In my head, so one, my West starters are done, so there's that. And I think if there's someone I have to move out eventually, I'm sure you'll bring this person's name up, but I think I would put Ja Morant over him as of right now. So I'm gonna put Ja Morant as a nice.
Okay, perfect.
What do you have as Ja Morant?
I would say, yeah, he's a nice. I don't have him as a starter.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm already locked in, but I really do like his game. I really do think it's not a steal when you draft that early in the draft. But Grizzlies have been handed the right type of player for their organization and where they need to be. Dylan Brooks popping off and figuring things out. Desmond Baines was a player that I did not think would, find his way as much as he is currently in the league. They have solid veterans now with Steven Adams out there. The construction of this team is pretty good for what they are right now, and is going to help with Ja Morant coming and maturing into the type of player that will be able to lead this team beyond the first round to the second round to the third round, Western Conference Finals possibly, and at some point in his career be contending for championships. But it all starts with having that construction of a team around this guy. And from what I've seen him do with teams were poorly constructed and him shooting for the playoffs, I only expect the best with this guy, and this guy to become a lot better with that in mind.
Yeah. Quick side note. It's actually pretty funny. I did want the Knicks to draft Desmond Bane over quickly. And I didn't think both players were going to be as good as they are. But man, Desmond Bane is something. He's something special right now. Like this guy's playing nice. But I just wanted to throw that out.
Yes. All right. So now this is the bottom tier of the list.
Yes, this is where it gets spicy.
This is the controversial picks. These are the guys that have, always been in, not always, but they've been in either they've been in consideration or to be into the in the All-Star game, but they've been snubbed in the past. Mm-hmm. They're figuring things out this point in their career, but they're still unproven, or either they're slumping really bad, and because of that, they're now on this list.
Yeah,
so
okay. I'm excited.
Now that leads me to, and I will say, I know you mentioned that or someone on the West that you wanted to speak of. This list actually just consists of of just Eastern teams.
Okay.
So I would like I was saying earlier, I wanted you to tell me who would you bring into this list. I'd love to hear that after we go over these next couple guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna write these down.
All right. So back to the Queen City. Queen City. One of the big new financial centers of this great country of ours. Smacked in the middle of North Carolina. This man is running alongside his co-star, Melo Ball, dunking all over everybody, shooting threes like it's nothing. And he's just got a swagger to him now that I honestly didn't think he had.
Yep.
But that guy is Miles Bridges.
Oof.
Is he on your nice or naughty list?
So, Miles Bridges, he's exactly like what you're saying. Like, I did not expect Miles Bridges to be this type of caliber player. And it's nice to see, I mean, it's part LaMelo and part, him just putting in that hard work and, developing his game to where it is right now. And I mean, the guy's still super young, but there's always a but. I'm gonna put him on my naughty list. He's like you're saying, I think he's actually very close. He's fringe at the moment, but at the moment I have too many other guys that I'd rather have over Miles Bridges.
I agree. I do agree. I also have him on my naughty list. He is having an outstanding season, and I do appreciate what he's bringing to
Yep.
the Hornets. I've loved from what I've seen from him from last year. When LaMelo's not around, he'll step up. He's has a confidence to his game that you want to have a lot of bigs, especially a versatile big like him, have in themselves. That he feels that he could shoot it from anywhere at this point, and he could dunk on anyone in his mind as well too. So I do love his game, but I still don't think it's ready for all-star game level yet, or that recognition yet.
Yeah.
There's a couple other guys, like you said, that I'd rather put on this list
Yeah.
than him.
It's like he's not ready for all-star game, but I would like to see him in all-star weekend on the dunk contest. That's where he belongs as of now, but maybe one day he'll be on both.
Yep. The next person on this list, some people used to doubt if he had any desire to play. This year, he's showing you, oh yeah, I got that desire. My man used to build PCs. And now he's blocking all these people, making them look like NPCs. That man out in Cleveland, Ohio, that man is Jared Allen. Is he on your nice or naughty list?
Man, so this is actually one of the guys that I've been going very back and forth on. And I mean, man, Jared Allen has been something else this season. I think it's so tough. I'm gonna put him on my nice list. I'm gonna put him in the game. I think he deserves to be there. This man's been playing amazing. Remember, I said earlier, I take out Sabonis. I wouldn't put him in there, and I even put him over someone else. I don't know if you bring him up later, but I think I'll put him over that other person. I'll get into that later. But Jared Allen, I think he deserves to be in this game. This man's been so dominant this season. The Cavs have been playing amazing. You talked about it earlier of like, you don't want to be putting on these guys that are on losing teams and all that, and they're just putting up crazy numbers. Like, no, he's having a direct impact, and I think he deserves to be in this game.
Exactly. I agree with the impact that he is bringing to this game. And, it can't be understated what he's doing. And I think he has enough to get that first nod,
Yeah.
all-star appearance. But I'm so sorry, Jared Allen, that I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to put him on my naughty list. And it's more along the lines of like, I think my last person that has to be on this list is more of a formality because the level of player he is, even though he is not having a great season, it's almost like the Dwayne Wade situation. He is just so good. To leave him off this list could be really bad. But maybe I'll walk myself back. Okay. I am fighting with this decision right now because I love my boy Jared Allen.
Yeah.
But this person, I don't see how they don't make this list and they leave him off of it. So,
all right,
on to the next person. This man, he was hurt last night. He was hurt last night, and he needed a wizard to come save him, but it didn't come in time. But luckily, his team was able to get the win. Led the league in scoring last season. He led the league in scoring last season. Some people don't want to put him in their top 25, but hey, Bradley Beal don't give a about what people think. That's who it is, Bradley Beal.
Ooh, Now, this is one of the guys that I also kind of went a little back and forth on. But like I said, there's always a but. I would not. I would put Bradley Beal on my naughty list. I think he's had a pretty big regression. So I just pulled up some of his numbers, and even just looking at his points per game, like you said, last season scoring champ and everything. This guy was 31 points. This season he's at 23, which is still, I mean, pretty fantastic. His 3-point efficiency went down drastically. He was shooting at 35% last season, and now he's at 28%, shooting the same amount of attempts a game, 5 or 6. And it's just, I think his game's been taking a big decline. And as like I mentioned earlier, with him not necessarily helping his team the most and passing it and being so high usage and inefficient, I think I'm gonna have to put him as a naughty.
Hey, I agree 100% with that. He's fought for years of remaining relevant and believing in himself, and I can't help but for a guy that believes in himself in his game and believes that he should be one of those top tier players, so I can't fault him for those type of things. But I will say this year, like you said, a lot of the changes that are happening with the team, a lot of players that they integrated, at first it looked so good.
Yeah.
But right now, as time settles in, you're starting to realize these pieces, like what they were on their other teams, just don't fit. And that's the reason why we moved around, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back and beckons, when will we start hearing conversation again about when are they trading Bradley Beal?
Yeah.
For that reason, and like you said, he has regressed over time, is why I can't have someone pressing that doesn't know what his role 100% is on the team is and how he's supposed to play in the best way to be on the All-Star team.
Yeah, that's the thing. Of like, I'd rather have LaMelo Ball or Trae Young take one of his slots than put Bradley Beal, just because he's been on this list before.
Exactly. So now, last person on this list, my man has the luck of the Irish. He is known for his, his tutelage from the late great Black Mamba. A man is known for posterizing the current great Lebron James back in 2018. Might be young, but he's ready. His name is Jason Tatum. Is he on your nice or naughty list?
So I'm pulling up his numbers right now, and I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one. Jason Tatum, man, this guy is pretty incredible. He's he's still so young. What is he? He's 20 something. I thought I was gonna find it pretty fast, but yeah, he's 20. He's 23. Oh my god, he's only 23. Yeah. Man, so he's only 23. It's pretty incredible that he's made all these All-Star games before. But he has plenty of time to make more. I'm gonna put him on my naughty list. He's not making it this year. I have other people. So I still have at least one other person that we haven't talked about. I still am missing a starter right now for my East. I rather have DeMar. Like, I'm thinking about it. I'd rather have DeMar DeRozan over Jason Tatum on this list. I'd rather have Zach LaVine over Jason Tatum. I would not put Jason Tatum as an all-star this year. He has his shooting numbers have regressed. And so far, like, he shot 39% from three last season. Now he's shooting 32. Shot 46% from the field. Now he's shooting 42. So 32, 42. So yeah, he's He's just not as good as he was last season. And I have other people that have been playing up to par. So Jason Tatum is a naughty for me.
I will say, this was the guy that I said that I saved for this list.
Yeah.
The reason why guy's been a bona fide star
Yeah.
at this point for the last 3 years. When he took that big jump after that Eastern Conference Finals matchup with LeBron,
Mhm.
guy has been just always been up there as one of the guys you got to consider as a starter. So it's more of a formality,
Yeah.
right? Like that's why I'm saying he fits into it, which I know it sucks to think of it like that, but I really do think that yes, his numbers may have regressed over the year to year, but he's still playing at par to some of these stars that are on this list. So that's why I have him on this list.
I agree. Like, I mean, still the numbers he's putting up. He's putting up what, 26, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Like, he's playing fantastic. But I'd rather have Jared Allen over him. Jared Allen's team is winning games. And I'd rather have there's one other guy that I have not put. I've been waiting for my starter. That is just that. Yeah, I just he's very close to me. If I feel like if I had more slots, I would put him in there. But I'm gonna say he's a no to give some for some room for Jared Allen.
I agree. You did mention like how he's been sloping down on his efficiency, and that is a big thing to look at because if you look at early in his career or even these last couple of years, he's been close or relatively close to 50% from the field, and this is his lowest in his whole career where he's averaging around 42%. So, it's not a major tick down, but it is a tick down. And if you've watched the games, you've seen where there's points where Jason Tatum is just forcing shots.
Yeah. Specifically that first game with the Knicks and everything. And like there's times where that is just the issue with the Celtics of like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum kind of do the same thing. And generally those two guys don't have a good night on the same night. So that's where my issue is.
I agree. All right, Brian.
Yeah.
It's time to bring out your stocking stuffers and pull out the few nice that you have left.
So, maybe I misremembering. But we never brought in the man in Philadelphia, the one that's actually playing on the team this year. This is my guy that I've been waiting for as my starter. The man is still, he's so dominant, and there's nothing you can do to stop him when he's coming at you. Joel Embiid. That's my last guy. So Jeff, did we bring him up? And two, did now that you know about him, would you put him on this list or not? Not you're nice.
Yeah, so we did not bring him up first.
Yeah.
Second, I'm gonna have to make some changes. I think Young's in the doghouse now, and you're gonna have to bring up Joel Embiid. When we talk about generational talent, in the big man side, that's not something you can replicate. You can't replicate what Embiid is. So I agree. Yeah, he deserves to be a starter. My thing is, and I don't want to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer here, but will Joel Embiid be healthy when that time comes? He's been relatively healthy this season, but knowing him, I don't know. But yeah, that's not how you make the decision on who's a starter, though. So, Hopefully, he should be in that starting position.
Yeah, if Joe Embiid was one of the if health wasn't a concern, he'd be top 5 player in the NBA. Just right there with like Jokic and all those other guys. It's just the health is the issue, but even so, like the health is enough of a it's the risk reward. The reward is enough to think about that risk and not care about it too much because he's just so good when he's actually playing. So then some guys that we did not bring up. Well, one, Jaylen Brown. Why would you say you wouldn't have Jaylen Brown? Or you would have Jaylen Brown as one of your naughties because we didn't bring him up.
Well, I guess it goes back to what you kind of said. Two guys doing the same thing. Why? I didn't want it. It was more along the lines that I don't think he would have been in consideration for it in my mind, because they do the same thing and they're both on a terrible team.
Yeah. So no,
I'm going to take 1A. I'm going to take 1A over 1B.
Yeah, that is. I couldn't agree more there. Another guy we didn't bring it up that actually did make it last year, and if he did make it this year, he would actually be. I think would be the only team that would have 3 All-Stars, and that's Nikola Vucevic. So yeah, what do you think about him?
I don't know if he's. I don't like the pick for him. I don't see him being one. I feel like the Beast East has gotten a lot more stacked, and that's why he wasn't strong. I wouldn't strongly consider him as one of the picks. And then he is more of a traditional big than the other bigs that we have on this list. But I know he stretches out the floor, but the way how he does it is a lot different than a guy like Jokic or even
Embiid.
Joel Embiid will do it. And then Rudy Gobert, he's just so he's obviously not the modern big, but he's just so great at what he does. That's why it takes him to a different level. I just think that Nikola, yes, as his talent is being considered, he is on a level that is all-star par, right?
Yeah.
But based off of the talent that's in the league and how we've modernized the game, he will be overlooked and not be considered for this position.
Not Jokic. Vucevic, he's close. I think the main reason why he usually makes it, which I mean, he's a very good player. There's no taking that away from him. He has deserved to make the teams in the past. The main thing there is that the East generally doesn't have a lot of centers. So, when you try to build out the team and everything, you try to add more centers. So, like, he's usually the next best guy after Embiid. But this year, that's why I would say, put Jared Allen in there. Jared Allen deserves. I would put Jared Allen over Vucevic. Jared Allen's so good, man. He's so good right now. And his team is winning like crazy. I mean, Vucevic's team is winning too. But, Jared Allen I would have over him. And then on the West, there's actually a lot of players here that I would be kind of like 50-50 on. And so one, we didn't talk about, and I need to get your thoughts on, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is not on the list. What do you think?
Amid all of the craziness that's going on, the trade rumors, his game has regressed this year. I think that's why he won't be considered. And it goes back to what I just said about Vucevic, is that, yes, he has the talent to be an all-star, but due to what is going on, what is currently players are ahead of him right now, you're giving more consideration to those players.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets it unless if he's voted in by fans, and that plays a big part into how he gets in, and that's why I wouldn't consider him.
Yeah, no. I was thinking beforehand. I was like, all right, Damian Lillard is going to be one of these guys that I am going to I thought it was going to be like an edgy kind of take of like I wouldn't put him on there. You'd be on my naughty list, but I'm actually pretty happy that we're on the same page here. Next guy. I thought he was going to be on this list, and when I said we're on the same wavelength about the Anthony Davis stuff, I thought we were talking about this guy I'm about to bring up, and I can't do my intros as good as you, and I'm just gonna say his name. His name is Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns is playing fantastic this year, and if there's someone that I would be like 50-50 on, and potentially like if I had to switch two guys, I might even put Karl Anthony Towns over Anthony Davis. Actually, I would put Karl Anthony Towns over Anthony Davis, but I think I would by slotting out Draymond Green. That's where I'm like Karl Anthony Towns. I would have as a backup there. So, what do you think about Karl Anthony Towns?
I think just because of in my mind, Draymond Green is going to be talked about a little bit later in this podcast for some other reason, and I think you know what I'm talking about when I say that. So that's why I would still have him. But I agree. I think it's time to make an executive order. Get Anthony Davis off this list, man. It's cat time, man. Because we've besides a few minor injuries we've seen from Cat this season. Now the COVID protocol is holding him back, but he is doing everything for this team to make sure that they stay whole and that they play at the level that they need to play. That game that he had over the Lakers this past week, we should have known then. That's why we should have left AD off the list. For AD to allow Karl to come in and abuse him in the paint and then just, too small, man. Too small. Like it's crazy to see his game maturing to where he is now. And this is a callback to the infamous picture with him guarding DeMarcus Cousins, but is seeing him from that player what he was, where he was just getting abused in the league, to now he's one of the most dominant guys in the league. Is where I agree. It's time. I think it makes sense. I know the world doesn't want to see this. The fans are not going to let this happen, but Karl should be over Anthony Davis.
I would agree. Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, man, this guy's too good. The Knicks is actually on the same team as him. I thought this guy would be a naughty or nice, and he's actually very fringe to me. I would actually still keep him off this list, but I think he's right there if there was someone else slipping, and that's Anthony Edwards. What do you think about Anthony Edwards?
I think, he's knocking right on the door. He'll definitely be one of those guys they give a call if, let's say, someone gets into COVID protocol or someone gets injured. He's definitely going to be one of the first guys that they call. I see this guy being in some of the All-Star Weekend festivities as well. He's an outstanding talent and an amazing personality. So he is made for the All-Star game. Would love to see if he's given the opportunity, but I did leave him off the list. Because I did think there was others that were more deserving at the moment.
I think he's in my opinion, he is very close, and I can see someone making the conversation, and there is a conversation to be had there. So that's why I want to bring him up. The next two guys are my last two, and they kind of fall into your conversation before of like, they're on bad teams, but they're performing extremely well. And one, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. What do you think about him?
So I considered putting him on this list as well. He is playing very phenomenal. But it does call back to what I was saying. That is a team that is too bad for me to give someone that's on that team a playoff nod.
Yeah.
But his game has shown that he deserves to be in consideration for an all-star nod. So once again, another one of those guys that could be reserved in the case of if someone gets into COVID protocol or someone gets injured, he could be in that consideration. But he's definitely getting a naughty from me at this time.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, right now the OKC Thunder are 11-20, so they're struggling, and right behind them is Houston at 10-23. So, they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now. Detroit is 5-26, and Orlando is 7-26. Those are pretty bad. They're not as bad as them, but they're at least bottom 5 as of right now. And then the last guy, I really wanted to put him on this list. And again, I think maybe I might even put him over Shea if there's a health and safety protocols thing. Because this guy is just playing so phenomenally, and there's not too much talk about him. But his team is not playing too well. Right now, currently they're 13-18. And that is DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray.
I had it in my mind that you're gonna say.
I'm actually DeJounte Murray is definitely top 10, one of my favorite players in the NBA, and I'm actually kicking myself for not picking him up in my fantasy league because I pick him every single year, and this year I was like, I kind of want to try something different. And of course, the one year I try something different is the one year that he blows up and he's amazing. And but no, this guy is almost averaging a triple-double. This man is a defensive monster. He is very, very good. He's having a fantastic year. What do you think about DeJounte Murray?
I love the pick. He has shown to be such an effective player. I remember him going down a few years ago, and you seeing what that changed when DeMar was still on that team as well. Yeah. That Spurs team, how much that changed the whole atmosphere of the team. Definitely one of those type of players that you could see growing into being a leader. Yeah, you know what? Growing into, he's already a leader on that team, and he's found his way in being an offensive. I wouldn't say juggernaut, but I would say an offensive. He has an offensive prowess that I didn't think that he would have had when he first came to the league. He is still very slinky, but for some reason, I think he makes it work. Like he really makes that work, and how I love how he drives to the rim. He's I like you said, a great defender, but I love how I love his downhill play. Yeah. And that's one reason where I could say, he should be in consideration for this position. I don't know if I would put him over Shea.
Yeah.
But if I would, it would be because record first, definitely because of the record, and then second is because at this point he is shown to be more consistent at what he's going to be and leading his team in that sense. So that would be the reasons why I put him over Shea. But yeah, I like that. I like you bringing him up into this conversation. Every time you're on Twitter now, you're seeing a post about him popping off. Yeah. So I agree. He should be in consideration for an all-star appearance.
If there weren't just so many great guards, he would 100% be on the list. It's just it's tough, but I think it's gonna be pretty close this year, and I would love to see him make it. But yes, I think that is a good spot to leave it. I think we pretty much covered most of the people. Listeners, let us know. Who did we miss? Who would you have on your list? Who do we snub and you like? Let us know. I'm definitely curious about that. You want to move on to the next the next topic. So,
I am.
Jeff, this is running a little bit long right now. So, one, I want to get your feedback on. We're at an hour and 50 minutes already. So, we can maybe save our early league awards for next time, or do you want to go into it right now?
Let's save it for next time.
All right.
Oh.
It's running a little bit long, and I think this is actually this isn't something that I want to breeze through because I actually want to talk about each thing pretty thoroughly. So, and I think it's enough of a topic that we can talk about a decent amount. So, let's save that for next time. Then lastly, the weekly roundup. This week it's been pretty slow for news, mainly because everyone and their mom is in health and safety protocols right now, and we didn't really want to talk about all these guys that were not in the NBA, like Joe Johnson and Emmanuel Mudiay getting playing games right now. Like, to me, that's not the most fun and most useful of this time. So just two main things that happened this week. So one, we talked about him a lot on this podcast. Anthony Davis injured, MCL sprain, and he's out for the next at least 4 weeks. What do you think, Jeff?
Anthony Day-to-Day Davis. Credits to Charles Barkley for coming up with the most amazing nickname for this guy. But to be serious, it is a problem that the guy cannot stay on the court. It is a problem for you to rely on an aging LeBron to carry this team every week, every game. It is a problem to rely on Russell Westbrook to be consistent and, not turn the ball over an exorbitant amount of times.
Yep.
So the margin of error with this team is so small. He said it last year. And for us to think and believe and try to be foolish about this is last year there was a similar period in the year where the Lakers, at that time at least, were second in the West, and they had a long stint of Anthony Davis being injured. And we knew that the margin of error being in the West was so small that if you have a terrible couple weeks, you could already be in the 7th or 8th seed. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Exactly what I see happening with this situation as well. To not have the player of that ilk on the court playing is going to be an issue, and it's going to make it very hard for LeBron to sit down, rest, for Westbrook to rest as well, which I've seen over time in watching Westbrook's game, is if you put that type of pressure on minutes with Westbrook, he just turns the ball over even more. So, you don't want to pressure these guys into what they're doing. And, there was a picture yesterday that was a microcosm of what the Lakers are this season, where it's like LeBron James is in the front court, and he's the only Laker in the front court.
That was
and
crazy.
All 5 Spurs was there, and LeBron was just forced to shoot a 3 at that point. That's what it feels like he's going up against this season.
That was a crazy moment that I saw that this morning, and man, it's Anthony Davis is just we talked about it. This is even more of a reason why that Karl-Anthony Towns should be an all-star over Anthony Davis. It's just the guy is not healthy all the time, and it's been a huge problem over these last 2 years or so for Anthony Davis. And when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's an amazing player. He's so good. It's just that he's not often healthy. And then it takes time for him to get back into his groove in his game. And then if that happens and he starts getting back into his groove, he gets injured again. So it's like you're saying, it's a big mess, and I completely agree with all your stuff.
Easily could be a top 5 player.
Easy, very easy. Same thing, kind of like what we're saying about Joel Embiid. Like, should be there. It's just the injuries, and it's sad to see this. It happens with so many big men. And then the last piece of weekly roundup is sad in my own heart. It's the youngest MVP of ever. Another injury in his books. Derrick Rose, ankle surgery, and at least he's not going to be out for the entire season. The timetable they're looking at is 6 to 8 weeks. Woj said it's likely they're hopeful it's 6 weeks, but it's very possible it could be 8 weeks. Jeff, what do you think about this injury?
It gives way to cardiac Kemba, which we saw last night. I guess that's the silver lining in this situation, right? But you do feel for Derrick Rose. He is a big part of, we've talked about this in the past, of why the second unit for the Knicks works so well is because of Derrick Rose. So for him not being a part of that, I don't know how. I wonder, and I want to see how much of an impact it's going to make on that second unit and what those numbers are going to start to look like because of that. But I think this is a pretty big blow for the team. When relegated to lesser minutes, Derrick Rose could play arguably at an all-star level. So, like I said, it is a blow.
Yeah. It's with Derrick Rose, it's actually been like a nagging injury that I think a lot of Knicks fans have noticed, just because of at first he started the season as probably the Knicks' most efficient and probably their best player to start off with, and it's a huge reason why of like now you bench Kemba because you can't play Kemba anymore. One, Kemba wasn't playing great at the time. Two, you need someone else starting. You can't have Derrick Rose starting. You can't have you can't have Kemba playing off the bench. And it's just, that's why he left the rotation. And Derrick Rose is just, he was doing so well, but that's when the losing streak started to really happen, was when Derrick Rose's production fell off a cliff. And, he was still playing decently well, but it just wasn't at the level it was before. So it makes sense why he made the decision to just get ankle surgery, and thankfully it was successful. So hopefully it's not going to be too long. He's not going to be out for too much. But like you say, the silver lining here, it does make room for Kemba. And even Kemba getting benched and being out of the rotation kind of forced Kemba to want to be more aggressive when he plays on the offensive end, because starting the year, his big problem, he was timid. He wasn't going out. He wasn't shooting a lot. He wasn't doing much. And when he did, he was missing all his shots and just a huge liability on defense. And now it kind of kicked his butt to be like, I have to play my own game. Let me stop screwing around. And last night he played really well. Let's hope he can keep it up for the Knicks' sake. But Derrick Rose is probably one of the biggest blows that they've had so far, of like injury wise, and hope of speedy recovery. It's always tough to see when, like I was mentioning earlier, like a guy that's had so much injury problems get hurt again, and there's another little nagging injury. So hopefully the surgery fixes it all, and he's good to go in the future.
I agree.
So, Jeff, that is another episode. I'm happy you did this naughty or nice thing for us. It was a lot of fun. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, I hope you guys leave out your cookies out for Santa today. Like I was saying, the Grinch that stole Christmas Day games, COVID, is still out there. Make sure you stay safe. Enjoy your loved ones as well too, but also make sure you enjoy those games. We got 5 games slated. I believe it's 5 games, right? Or 4? 5 games?
I believe it's 5 too. Either one.
All right, so
we got a packed day.
Exactly. So from early morning, not early morning, to midday to the end of the night, you got a whole slate of games to be interested for. Actually, on Twitter, I put out a poll on which team do you think is going to make a statement out of these Christmas games. So would love for you guys to go and submit your answers. And, on Twitter, you're only allowed to put 4 teams. So if you have a team that's outside of that poll, just drop them in the comments and we'll talk about it.
Yes.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Yes. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Like Jeff said, I'm just going to echo of, stay safe out there. Enjoy your loved ones. Spend time with your loved ones and, enjoy these basketball games. I checked on it. It is 5 games. I'm pumped. It's going to be awesome. And this was fun. Thank you, Jeff, for putting together this Naughty or Nice. And I thought that was a nice holiday twist for us. So, so this was episode 14. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you next time.
Ho, ho, ho. Peace.